Well, good morning. Thank you all for joining us. We have a really great event. My name is Keil Dux. I'm an Emmy Award-winning journalist, and today I serve as a communications coach and consultant. But most importantly, I am a Doral Chamber of Commerce member, a new member, and I'm just proud to be involved in an organization that honors businesses in our community of all sizes that serve one another, that create a network, that provide the resources there. And today we have a special guest, Jim Garcia, who I think, we talked about this before we came on. We talked about the idea that we have a decision today to harness technology to succeed in business, or we get left behind. So Jim, I would love for you to just take it away at this point and tell me all about what you do with your company and all the great resources we all now have access to as a result.
First of all, thank you, Ann. Thank you for the introduction, and thank you all the guests that are attending. So, as far as technology, our company Stratacache is a global company, and we design products and solutions for that market that you see. Your typical McDonald's is what I can relate to, that you can see and say, okay, yeah, I see the menu boards, I see the technology, but there's ideas behind it. It's idea of delivering what messages I'm delivering, what technology I'm delivering, and delivering that whole solution. So we do that end to end. We can, we're a pretty good sized company. We're about 11,000 employees. We are a worldwide footprint. We do signage in about 28 languages. So we're global, and we have presence in the world. As far as technology, these products, they grow with a customer also. So we can also deliver the hardware, the software, and the services combined to, like, somebody's just going to sell you a panel, we sell the complete solution. So that's
well, that's very important for those of us who are not technology savvy, or can't even begin to understand, okay, how does this digital sign work? You're providing everything, the nuts and the bolts, everything you see in person, and obviously behind the scenes to make sure it's working in those important times. And I think that in itself is an amazing product. And we talked about, obviously, digital signs. So what does that look like for a customer? What would we see inside of a store?
Okay, yeah. Going back to giving you the example of McDonald's, when you walk up and you see those menus have little computers on them, and they have information, and that information is being uploaded from our company. So we upload information and content to that, and you see the menu. So that's when you see the menu. There's a breakfast, and then you'll see the lunch, and then you see the dinner. So we can do that according to the timestamp. So we do that. We design the menus. We can also do it depending on weather. So let's say it's hot or whatever, they'll show iced tea, or if it's cold, they say, okay, here's the coffee. So we do all these things in the background, and again, we do it at a huge level. Obviously, just McDonald's alone, it's almost 20,000 points of presence in the U.S. and around the world. That's just McDonald's. We also have Burger King, Wendy's, and what have you. So these are the big boys that we have as far as our products.
You're already making me hungry. I didn't have breakfast this morning. What happened? Okay. I'm sure some of you guys are out there feeling the same way. That's amazing. I think it speaks to this idea, too, that we all want a customized, personalized experience today. We honestly expect it. And so when you talk about being able to change what you're seeing on those signs, what are your customers saying about that? What's that difference for them?
Right. So that's part of what we do. It's the catering and that frictionless for individuals, that we have what we call devices where we can actually, if you go to McDonald's a lot, so we have what's wire-based technology where you can that McDonald's will know how many times you've been there. So when you walk up, it'll say, Ann, oh, here's the coffee that you had last time. Oh, and by the way, we have this new muffin. Do you want it? So we have that already in that technology. So we're doing personal. So we're doing a lot of the stuff that, let's say, the Amazons of the world do on the web. So we can do it at the brick and mortar. So what are we doing? We're making your brick and mortar more efficient and more cost effective, right? Because what happens is we're competing with online, right? Mm-hmm. So, and again, the pandemic has driven us to do more online and more via the car, right? So,
right. But fast food and food delivery, I know I've been best friends with a few of those companies lately. So I think it speaks to that, and it makes the process easier, because the last thing you want to do is order your food and then say, wait, what just happened?
right.
And I love the idea of a personalized coffee and muffin that comes with it.
Yeah.
It's fascinating. And I think it speaks to this idea too, technology. What are we going to do with it? How are we going to take our steps forward? I know you mentioned some of these larger, impressive companies who trust you to do this amazing work. Do you have tools for some of the medium-sized and the smaller businesses as well? And can you talk to that?
Yeah, that's a very good question. So the pandemic has created, you and I know this, I want to say it's people don't want to get out of their cars, right? So they just want to stay in their cars. So the whole drive-through it's exploded. So even not the big boys anymore. So you have the small mom and pops that are doing our solutions, our menu boards, so they can drive up and be efficient and what have you. And again, we're looking at companies that are somewhere, 1 to 2 locations, maybe 20 locations, compared to a McDonald's or a Burger King, which are 1,000 locations, right? And they're looking at it and they say, yeah, we want to do it, and they'll do it. And that creates that efficiency, because they figured, yeah, I'm going to invest in this and I'm going to get the return out of it. So that's the market has exploded, because again, we don't want to get out of our cars. We want to keep going through the drive-throughs, and the drive-throughs, curbside drive-throughs, whatever, all this different technology is there. You see it. You go to a Walmart or whatever, you see it. It's a pickup drive-through, whatever. There's all these different variants, and we have solutions for that. We can track where that person gets there. We could have analytics. We could tell you, okay, this is what this person does. This person goes to this different one or this different place every other time, and then we find the information. The same thing we do on Amazon, we can do it ourselves on brick and mortar and make that brick and mortar more efficient. And again, from the small guy all the way up to the big guy, because we have the know-how to do this, right? And to tell you the truth, I don't think anybody does it as well as we do. Other people can sell you hardware, but not a solution, and we can do that really well.
The full service solution. It's amazing. And I think it also brings up the idea that, of course, in that moment, I want that optimal service that you're providing. But if you look at it, for companies to understand their data, to understand the trends, to understand what their customers want and what they could want in the future, we're predicting the future. I mean, that's really what your technology is doing as well. Mm-hmm. So talk to us about that, this idea that maybe 3-6 months, and I don't even know how soon they're able to get a lot of this data, how they're able to then use that to potentially make different decisions about their businesses.
Well, that's a very good point, because we do have case studies of that exact situation. So one of our key accounts in retail, it's HAB. That's the equivalent of a Publix, right? But they're in Texas. And what they've done is they put sensors on their shopping carts and on their baskets, and they can see exactly how a promotion works in real time, versus waiting, like you said, waiting 3 or 4 months down the line to get the information and analyze it. They do it in real time. Again, we're the only ones that can do that. And we have different case studies for different applications. Maybe we want to figure out how much wine sold during this period of time. We have a certain amount of traffic. And with that, we can do that in real time. So it's not waiting for somebody to do analysis on data. We do it in real time.
Wow.
That's impressive.
Yes.
That's impressive.
It definitely is. It's digital marketing to new heights. It's really understanding so much of what we try and guess. But even putting those kinds of numbers together can be complicated, even for those who are in the business there.
Yeah, the HEB technical manager says it's invaluable. They're committed to technology and the development of technology. They've become more efficient, and they know that their brick and mortar is more efficient for what they've done with our technology. And they're one of our key accounts. They have a lot of cases as far as, they do the wine, they'll do this, they'll do the whatever. They know when to put people, when their shopping carts are out. I mean, it's incredible. Like, we have too many shopping carts, go get them, because they know it's incredible, all the data, and it's in real time. Right? That's what people want. They don't want to wait a month later to figure out how efficient or how inefficient you are. And that's the way they used to do it, right? They used to have clipboards, people with clipboards. What did you like something on the outside? You can't do that anymore. We're in a different world now. So, yeah.
That's really fascinating. So we've talked about these businesses who can use it, obviously, when it comes to food delivery and fast food restaurants, but you also have a really great product for in the office. Mm-hmm. talk to me about that, because I'm inspired. I'm certainly in that world of virtual presentation. Just let us know all about it and paint us a picture of what it looks like.
Okay, great. So just give you some background also. So before, I've been doing a lot of collaboration in my career for the last 5 years also. So I've lived the Zooms and the Teams and the meets, and I've lived all that. So there's a certain quality that they have and a certain quality that they don't have. So it's a standard collaboration, but it really isn't. So our product took that and said, okay, we have customers that are really upset at the fact that they have lag, that they have dropped calls, that the quality of the video is bad. They don't like that. And these are, some people don't care. They just want to connect, right? But so we analyzed that and we said, okay, let's come up with a product. So one of the universities that we work with, Harvard. So Harvard wanted a product where they included that, but by the same token, they wanted a one-to-one. So they set up the screens where they have one-to-one screen and microphone, so they feel like they're in a one room. Okay, so our one room technology, it's really, again, I repeat myself, is second to none, and we are really doing well with it. I repeat myself, the pandemic has super accelerated this, obviously, and the fact that the quality is behind it, it's really, you have to experience it. But one of the things is that we've seen from the different verticals is that, okay, I can talk to that person. That person is one-to-one, and I feel like I'm in range of that person. If that person gets up or moves, I know what he does that. When we have discussion sessions, we can discuss. There's a lot of different things that you can do, and you can collaborate on a session. Again, I've used Zoom and nothing against those products. I'm just saying that they're limited to the quality of what you're getting out of them. If you want a quality experience and a real one-to-one, you need to try our product. You need to try our product. Yeah.
Yeah. So are you saying this idea too, where, I mean, I think I love being on the different video conferencing platforms, because it's a way to connect, right? We've all been to some extent so isolated over the last year. And I think initially it certainly impacted our ability to do our jobs and do our jobs well. However, it's been some time. We figured out, some of us taking a little longer than others, we figured out how to reconnect with one another. Do you feel like the experience you're connecting is one where it's almost as like it's being in the same room as someone?
Yeah, and that's the point, because if you notice, there's been studies already as far as these Zoom calls and stuff for just universities and high schools, they're losing grade levels because they're not immersed in what is a one room, right? So yes, so to answer that question, yeah, it gets you to that one room level. It actually has that one-on-one, and the quality is second to none. I mean, it's you have to, yeah, we're putting up one of the screens, but if you look at the screen there, you could see how each person has the visual connection with the teacher and or the presenter, and then everybody in the room is part of that room. So it doesn't matter where you are in the world, you are one room, and again, the quality is great. One of the things we were discussing before we were on air, we're talking about being able to run video. So we can run video, and we run video native. All these other applications, you can't run video because there's the lag, because you're running video off the cloud. So our stuff is on the hardware, on your hardware, and it's a better experience when we're running. And that's just one of the features that we have that makes us a better product than your, again, I don't want to say the Zoom of the world, but the Zooms, the Teams, or what have you. Mm-hmm. I always think of them as great products for what they do, because they're simple. But if you want a better product, a broadcast quality experience, you have to look at our product and you have to try our product. In fact, I know for a fact our competitors are already looking at our product, because
that's always a good thing, right?
Because we're taking certain key accounts from them, mm-hmm. right? In the higher ed and in corporate. But like I said, we have hardware. We also have like Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola is one of our accounts too. And again, these accounts, we had them before the pandemic, right? And they just got bigger. In the case of Coca-Cola, they go, well, I'm going to fly 30 individuals in, cost me $4,000 per individual just to house them or whatever. I'll just do it remotely, and we have this one room solution, and they've loved it because they get immersed. We can the sessions, the interactivity. And again, it's cliche because it's true. They say it's about the experience. You and I know that, but it really is about the experience in the sense that you feel you're there. You get to know the person. That person, when he's explaining, he could see that person one-to-one because it's the camera one-to-one and the speaker one-to-one. And then, you could actually deliver your message and what have you. Again, whether it be higher ed, whether it be education, whether it be training. I mean, there's a lot of stuff like training where you could look at different parts of we have one of our accounts is a company that does medical equipment. So they have to train their staff, right? So we can focus on a product and actually show them that product with the camera and then actually engage that. You can't do that with a regular Zoom, right? Because it doesn't make
it might get interesting with your are you using your cell phone?
Yeah, there you go. And the other thing is the ability. So we set up cameras in the room. So instead of just seeing that one person, that one view every time, you can actually walk. I call it walk around the room. So I can switch cameras and different angles. That makes it a better experience. When I first used the product, I go, hey, this is great. I could see the angle from where the back of the guy, and I could see where I'm showing myself on the screen from the other angles. So you set up that experience. So nobody else can do that.
Right.
That's a great experience.
That is. I think when you talked about higher ed, I thought about the perfect example of the classroom, where right now universities can't have the same number of students in their classroom as they typically would, right? Because we're still in the pandemic and we have the numbers. So they have some students who are remote and some students who are in person. And a lot of times, and I've seen that it's difficult to have both. Right. If everybody's remote, then everybody's kind of on the same page. Everybody's in the same room and you're able to have a smaller group. Great. But the hybrid model, nobody knows where to look. Nobody knows where people are. And you spoke to that a little bit. Is that a pain point for a lot of your customers when they talk about this idea of how do we get everyone in the same room?
Right. And that's a very good point. That was the reason why we designed the one room. And that's why it keeps getting better. Because we keep using that kind of idea and technology because of the fact that it's engagement and it's making sure that we're delivering that product. Okay. Again, all these other vendors, again, looking at a screen like this for an hour, you just say, I'm not going to do this, right? Because that's your regular Zoom call. And you can put different pieces and different people and stuff. That's great. But the different angles on the camera and move around and then actually move things within your session, and then there's parts of the session where you can actually see who's in the session, and then you can actually move people within the session. So if you want to focus on some individuals that are presenting, we can do that. You can have the presenters, and then you can move them around. That's one thing, dynamic, right? And then that experience goes further with the fact that, again, they're getting that better experience and better education. Like I said, we do these. We also do polling. So we could sit there and the classic poll is, and you can do polls on the fly too. So let's say you're talking about, again, we do, it's funny, we do ice cream. So we'll sit there and say, okay, what ice cream do you want or like? So they put chocolate, whatever, pistachio, whatever. And then we poll it. And then you see who polls like what. And then you could discuss it. And it's that part of the polling is part of that ice breaking too. Because they said, no, nobody likes pistachio. What are you talking about? And then you talk about that. So polling, we also have a whiteboard feature where you can be writing and you can annotate, and that's all stored within that collaboration. And you can also use a whiteboard for video. So you could run video on it and annotate on the video. Annotate on the video. And you can't do that with other products because of the fact that the video is limited, right? Because you're running video and you're running within video, right? So that's when you're running into lags and they don't know how to really use the bandwidth for that. And again, that's why, because again, our broadcast quality, we have that experience.
Right. It speaks to accessibility. And as a small business owner, I think to myself, I'm not just local anymore. I'm proud to be in Miami and based in Miami, my hometown, but I understand today that I am a global company. Every company should think of themselves that way. How do you speak to this technology, to people like me, and talk to me about how important that is to change our perspective?
that's a good point. I think it's always about education, right? We always need to educate everybody, and sometimes I think we miss the boat on educating the smaller businesses. So it's education, making sure that we have these tools for you, making sure we can increase your quality of your presentations. And I think you mentioned something of that. And I think there's a lot of synergies from what we do, both of us, what we do. It's about delivering that better quality presentation because of the fact that we're in the situation we're in, right? And it's going to be here for a while, right? It's just, you're going to have that 50% in, 50% out. It's just the way it is. And we get that. But education, making sure that we're delivering, making sure that, it's the tools, and we have tools. We have tools for the remote user and what have you, just because you're running off the screen per se.
Right. And so the trends, though, are pointing in your favor, I would say. And I guess all of ours, right? The technology access, the digital signage business, and all the similar components. That industry is growing rapidly. And I know you gave us some numbers before, but talk to me about what you're seeing day to day. I mean, are we seeing rapid numbers day to day? Are we seeing month by month? Or?
Well, interesting. Just think about us here in South Florida. Look at all the buildings. Look at all the companies moving here. Every single one of those buildings is going to have signage in it. Signage for wayfinding, signage for screens, signage for weather, all that communication. They're going to have signage. All the buildings are going to be smart buildings. All of them have some sort of communication. We deliver to that. So just think of all these companies that are coming here. It's a boatload of solutions. So for this area, we're just growing like a mushroom. It's incredible what we're doing here.
Right.
Yeah.
We're the next big tech hub, right?
Yeah.
I'm on board with that.
Yeah, me too. I've been saying that for years, but the California, whatever. Yeah.
No, I think we've done a really good job recruiting. And I think that's important too, because it puts a lot of the technology in front of our businesses here in Miami. It doesn't feel so out of reach. It feels like it's really close by and accessible, because I think that sometimes it is a little disheartening, or it just feels like, it's a little alien to us. But when you put it in front of us and you show us how it works, and I know you have different videos that people can check out online and see, okay, that's what one room looks like, and so on. I think that's really important, because we need to see the visuals. We need to understand, okay, if I'm in my office, or if I'm in the drive-through getting that coffee and that muffin, what does that look like for me? It changes our lives.
Yeah, definitely. Well, one of the things is, here's a case in point, you mentioning about that. So, the little QRCs codes?
Mm-hmm.
We've been working on technology for over 10 years. I mean, where you walk up with your phone, you control whatever's contents on that screen, and you take over the control with your phone. We've had that technology 10 years ago. And now they're using it, right? Now anywhere you go, you get a menu or whatever. And I mean, it's just taking that forward. So if QRCs, and everybody knows that. And there's little things like that we've used just to make it simpler and easier. You've seen it. I think I was in a Wendy's the other day and I saw it, where you can just walk up and do the QRC and actually control the fountain drink with your phone or something. I saw something like that. Again, 10 years ago. And it's now not to be used because of it's the pandemic.
Right. I still remember my first Nokia phone, my flip phones. I don't know what happened. I'll just say this. I have a 100-year-old grandfather, and he has an iPhone. So we can all do this. Yeah. We're ready to go. So what's next? I don't know if you want to give us any of your secrets for your company as far as what the technology that's coming up, but are there any favorite technologies that clients are saying, oh God, is this coming up, or is this a really great new asset you have?
Well, I spoke to it a little bit about sensor-based technology, but all our companies tied together with sensor-based. So in other words, if you have signage, if you have an existing signage network and you want to get more out of it, you just put sensor-based technology. So you could look at foot traffic, or you could look at different, what they call dwell time. So if you have a customer that's looking at something for a long time, you could do analysis on that. And again, like I told you, in real time. So we can do that with either signage or either our other products, because they tie in all together. So we have these different sister companies that work within, but the trend is that, right? So you have this network, we add sensor-based technology, and we can add more dynamics to it. So it's always growing. We also as a company, we've also purchased different locations. We're going to do manufacturing here in the U.S. So we're going to be manufacturing our players and our micro LED devices and stuff. So we are looking to the future for that. So yeah, I think by the end of this year we'll have manufacturing of that product in here. As of right now, we do manufacture all our the little kiosks you see at your McDonald's, the ones on the outside. We manufacture those in Dayton, Ohio, and those are made here in the U.S. So if somebody, we just roll them out and stuff. The components are obviously, we bring different components, but we actually manufacture that here in the U.S.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
And so what does it look like, if I say, okay, I'm signing on, you convinced me, done. What does that look like, day one? What are the conversations that are had? And then, do you have a team that just comes in and says, listen, this is what needs to happen in your office or in your store?
Perfect. That's an excellent question. So yeah, so we always call it the crawl, walk, run. So yeah, we usually have discovery calls and we find out exactly what's your pain point as of now and what's your pain point in the future. So we kind of grow with you, and then yeah, we kind of sit there and say, okay, what are you looking at for? You talk solution, and then after you talk solution, then you talk the hardware, right? You're going to need this, you're going to need that, and then at the end of the day, do you want this? Because the thing is, I was on a call the other day with one of our key clients too, and I think one of the finance companies, big finance company we have, and they go, well, I want my conference room to show when somebody's in the conference room, and I wanted to do this and that, and we're sitting there, go, well, we do that. And he goes, well, why didn't you tell us? I go, because we overwhelm you because we literally can do it all. So we can tie that signage with that conference room, with that little tag on the door that's being used. We could do all that. Plus, it's a one room. So we could literally do it all. But then, I think we've been too used to let me buy this widget and just have somebody put it up there and, have it work instead of thinking bigger picture and say, okay, I need my conference room to do this, and then work from there. And then by the same token, we don't usually walk in and clean everything, but we do walk in and can add value, which is a little good for both, because the client always says, oh, you don't throw our stuff out. No, we can use it. It's just that we need to move forward and what you want, quality, et cetera, et cetera. Again, think about it. Nowadays, you're going to go 4K and 8K, right? I mean, it's just, you can't find HD panels anymore. It's just 4K and 8K. That's where it's going. The content isn't in 4K yet. Some.
You just aged my TV.
Exactly.
You're in trouble.
Yeah, but think about it, right? Yeah. Because it doesn't really transmit 4K. But needless to say,
right,
as that trend goes, you have the quality that you're trending, right? So yeah,
it's wonderful. Well, I think we could talk about this probably all day long. I'm so impressed with the work you do. I hope that the audience, everyone who's watching, really has gained some great value. Just share with us one last time a little bit more about your company and mention those two products, because I'd love for people to get one more bit of that.
Okay, yeah, Stratacache, again, we do all digital signage solutions for corporate companies. And then the One Room, which is our sister company X2O, and again, it's a real collaboration product, and I think it's second to none. I don't think there's anybody else that does that. So, and we deliver it, soup to nuts, product, services, and solutions.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. It's been such a great morning, and I can't say enough about this idea. We talked about this. It's the time to harness technology, because there's no end, there's no ceiling for us in business. And if we use the technology right, we can really figure out how to succeed and to keep growing. And that in itself is impressive. Thank you so much for sharing more about this amazing technology. I'm impressed. So thank you again for joining us. I'm so glad to represent the Doral Chamber of Commerce, and I hope everyone has a wonderful day.